And I think we should probably start the session. And together with my colleague Darren is also here. He's actually expert on the topic that we're gonna have today. I'll start the presentation, and hopefully then afterwards we get some questions and we will start or we try to answer all of your questions. Let's say give you a good introduction to extensions. So let me see if I can share a tab. I think I can, which is very good. By the way, do you hear me well?
Yep, I can hear you well.
All right, sounds good. If I start presenting, I will not see this screen. I have only one screen at the moment. And so therefore I don't see you. If you have any question or anything, just unmute yourself. This is very, very friendly, let's say, meeting together. So just unmute and start asking your questions. So I think I like us because it's not many of us already in these sessions. I think it's the best that we have a two-way conversation. So whenever you feel you have a question, anything is unclear, just unmute and ask your question. I think this is the best way of getting the best out of this session. All right, so the topic that we chose to present today is about a new set of services from Google. It's actually one service, but a bunch of addition to that service, which adds whole a lot of new functionality to your Firebase project. So first question, how many of you are familiar with Firebase or have done something with Firebase, or just maybe comment, unmute and say something? Is Firebase totally new to you, or you know what it is? That's good. Couple of projects you used, that's nice. Okay, so then we can assume that so you have at least an understanding of what is Firebase. I mean, if you have used it before, which is very nice. If you have not, then you know what it is, right? So we're just gonna go through this presentation that shows how you can use extensions to add more functionality to your Firebase project, which is a nice addition. All right. So the presentation, in fact, is about just a developer named Darren. Well, this is not the same Darren that is on this call right now, my colleague. It's just the name that I come up with. So, but he's actually very close to this Darren as well. So he's done a lot of Firebase extension, and let's see what happened to this guy. So Darren is just a developer like us, and he's very passionate, and he's done quite a lot of stuff. And from time to time, just like us, he's trying to explore different opportunities in tech, especially bleeding edge technologies. So I will get to the story of Darren, but before that, let me quickly introduce myself as well. And my name is Majid. I am head of DevRel at Invertase, and I'm very active in Flutter and Firebase community. And I do a lot of things for community, from content creation, education, like training, workshops, and so on and so forth. I'm also organizing a bunch of conferences and meetups. You can find me also on internet with the handler MHA Daily. Today, my colleague Darren is also here in this call, which is going to help me at the end to clarify some of the more advanced concept, as well as answering your question. Darren Darren, maybe you quickly want to introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Darren and I work at Invitace, and primarily I specialize in Firebase Extensions. So I help with the maintenance of the main extensions at the moment, and I then do a lot of blogs and a lot of community work to try and help people to introduce them to these types of features and how to use and integrate these into your apps.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on. So let's see how this story, what happened to this guy and how the story started. So it's about Darren when he wanted to go for a long trip, about a couple of hours, flight, and he decided to give it a try, a new technology. He wanted to create something like an Instagram, but for private use cases, for families or grandma and friends. Just the simple things. Give it a try, build something, learn new things, and also have a private, gallery between family members. So let's see what he has done. So just like many of us, he started to think like, okay, what should I choose for my like a stack for front end, back end? Do I need like a web application or a mobile application? Do I need cross-platform? Will I go and maybe extend the functionality? Maybe at the end create an app. So there are lots of questions, but at the end of the day, like after, because he was familiar with cross-platform mobile development with Flutter, he said with himself, then why not choosing Flutter? So, well, at least he is a couple of a step ahead and he can just move forward with the front end part of it. So a mobile application. So he just need a backend and a few functionality for this mobile application. All right. So he started to creating the Flutter project. So in fact, it's fairly simple in Flutter. So if you're not familiar with the concept, Flutter comes with an SDK that gives you a CLI. So then you have Flutter command line, then you can create a project. That's the first line, geek photos. And then he started to creating or installing Firebase SDK for Flutter, which comes with a CLI as well. The Flutter Fire CLI that you see here in this line is talking about that SDK CLI. What it does, this CLI, is actually very simple. It creates all the configuration that you need with just one command, and then you can also add all the necessary services that you need, like all the sub packages that you need, dependencies. Sorry. So in this case, Darren needed Firebase Core, Cloud Store, Cloud Firestore, and Firebase Storage. So Cloud Firestore for storing the data in the database, and Firebase Storage for storing the images and assets. So he started to just creating a project as simple as what you see right now in this video that I recorded for you. Just a simple command. Started to creating a project. I just wanted to give you like the idea how it's done here in this case. So if you are not familiar with Flutter, no worries whatsoever, because this is not about Flutter. This is about Firebase. In fact, you can use any project that you have in front end, doesn't matter whatsoever. So I just wanted to give you an idea of like how the CLI works. You can simply choose one of your Firebase projects, and by choosing that, you can also choose your platform, and there you go. So all the configuration will be done, and your project will be up and running, connected to your Firebase project that you already have, or maybe you created right now. That's pretty much it. Your project is good to go. So you connected your front-end project, in this case, a Flutter mobile application, to Firebase. All right. So The command line, in fact, comes with the initial setup of the Firebase SDK for Flutter as well. If you're using any front-end application in this case, so it doesn't matter. So you can have similar configuration for your application. The syntax might be a little bit different, but the concept is important that now I'm talking about. Okay, so project right now is ready. So if you are familiar with Flutter, you know that this is just a widget that is having an unpress event or click, where when you click, you want to do something here. In this case, he created a callback function, add pictures, where he wanted to select photos from the gallery and then upload it to Firestore. Firebase storage. So the syntax for those who are not really familiar with Firebase is fairly simple. Let's get into step by step to just get to know what's going on. This is the first syntax, which is just related to Flutter in this case. You have the access to file picker. You can click and you get the library of the mobile and you can select your file. Once you select your file, you just iterate over all of those files. And then here is the part that you have it like similar to any other application, like maybe in JavaScript part as well, if you are from that, community. So it doesn't matter. So you're going to have Firebase storage instance where you put the file name or making a reference and then transfer the data, that file, to the storage. So you will then need to kind of store the metadata of these files to your database. To get access to this later, much easier, right? So what we can do, you can have an instance of Firestore, a collection that you can create, names, photo, and then add the metadata that is backed from the storage, uploading the file to storage, which is technically you need a full pass to show the image URL and maybe the date that you uploaded. Okay, so far, only with this few steps, you're able to simply take a photo, maybe a couple of them, and select them and upload them to Firebase just in a few seconds or few minutes, and then come back to your application and show them. But there is a problem here. The problem here is that when you take a photo with mobile camera, then it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a couple of megabytes. So you upload the raw file, which is fine, but then you don't want to actually show that in the application right away. You don't want to load like 10 megabytes, whatever pictures in one screen. The best practice is to kind of resize them, have a thumbnail or something to make it a bit more performant to load. And if you click on that, then you get a better size or full size or higher quality. So what could be the solution here to make the performance better in this case? Well, typically, if you're just doing everything on Firebase, what you do is you're going to go and create a function, cloud function, and you will start writing some logic, getting this file from Firebase storage, manipulate, create thumbnails, and optimize, and then put them back again to storage with functions whenever a file is uploaded. Okay, that's one way of doing that, but this is not the way that Darren wanted to do it because it just takes time. And it's just a lot of work, maintenance, maybe later, functionality that you need to, or maybe lots of other things that you need to take care, right? So he was thinking it would be very nice if there are some solution that makes it easier. Maybe a function that already existed somewhere, he can just copy and paste. But still, he needed to figure out how to get those functions to work. So by Googling a little bit, he figured out, in fact, Firebase has a new service or a new opportunity providing to all developers named Firebase Extensions. So by doing a little bit of extensions, he realized extensions are essentially those functions, but created and maintained by Google or by some providers that Google are like trusted by Google. And they are in the marketplace, extensions.dev. He can just go and simply use them. But let's see how it works. On the marketplace, he started to looking at if there is a chance to resize images, or there is any function or extension that helped to resize images, because that's what he needed for thumbnails. He figured out then, yes, it is. Resize image, in fact, is one of those extensions created by Firebase team itself. Well, there are a couple of things that he could do, but without going further and reading more documentation, he realized that he can actually click on install a button here on this corner and directly go to console and install this extension to Firebase. But let's see how it really works. He just clicked on install, chose the project that he wanted to install this, a few setup for the extensions, including like the path to resize image, to storage, and a couple of them, a couple of others. And just a few seconds after, the functions or this extension was installed. So by the definition of this extension, it will pick any uploaded file and will create a resized image based on the configuration that you've done during the installation. So this is what he has done. Just quickly install, get back to your mobile application or front-end application. He started to getting the thumbnail paths. When you upload, then this is going to be generated. And after that, he just started to load those thumbnails instead of the main one. As simple as that, like just a few clicks, a new functionality is added, and the image thumbnails are generated, and you can use it now right away. All right, but still there is a problem, because he wanted to share these photos with grandma, and grandma is not really into tech, in mobile and web and whatever, but she's pretty good with email. So Darren wanted to share each email or these thumbnails with grandma by email. So can he send email from Firebase? Well, not directly, because there's no such a thing in Firebase, but with trigger email function or extension, he can do that. Again, the same process started. He started an extension, a few parameters, including the SMT URI, as you can see in this screen. He just used his email and password for his email, which is the Gmail account in this case. And he could actually add Gmail as email send provider. So now how he can trigger sending an email? Well, imagine now in your application you have a send email photo function where you want to actually share a photo, you click on that and you send that email. But how does that work? It's as simple as just adding a document to the collection that you added during the installation of the extension. In this case, the collection name was shared photo, which means every time I add one document to shared photo, which is containing two, which is the email and message object, containing subject and HTML or text in this case. And if you see in the HTML, I actually added the URL of the image. Then Firebase will automatically trigger sending the email based on this object. As simple as this. You can control sending your email from your application. All right, he's actually very proud because, well, totally it just takes a couple of minutes to do this very quickly. But still, what if he wanted to send maybe a message or like an SMS or potentially a WhatsApp message, like sending this photo or a link to this photo? Why that? Well, of course, there are lots of providers that you can use, but can I connect that to Firebase? Because now I do everything in Firebase. Yeah, maybe. Well, here is the things. There is, let's say if you are a user of Twilio right now and you can send messages by Twilio, you can actually connect your Twilio with one extension to Firebase. How it works is like after you configure your extension, you need to get some credential here from Twilio, as well as other parameters, including the message document collection. Once all is done and setup is done, then you need to construct your message. It's either a SMS, as you see here in this case, it's going to be a 2, which is a number, and a body, which is just a text, or maybe you want to send them WhatsApp. Again, these are just very specific to Twilio. Well, if you use other tools, it might be different. Simply, you just need to construct those, messages, the collection that you chose during installation, and then add a document. Again, this is happening in your application, and the message will be sent automatically from Firebase. You don't need to do anything extra here in this case. Just need to add one document to the selected collection that you chose. Here is another example for WhatsApp. So again, you have a URL and a number, phone number. Let's imagine you have in your application a button that is triggering this function. So then adding to message collection, just another type of document, which is triggering these WhatsApp messages. A good thing about these function or extensions are that they're actually taking care of the other, let's say, logging as well. So in this case, you are adding one document to the message collection in the beginning. You see that I have from here, I have to here, and the body. But then as soon as you add that, the extension will take care of the rest of the information that you need. You can take a look at like the message ID. You can take a look at the status of the message, whether it was delivered or not, and so on and so forth. All right. This is not just only the 3 extension. In fact, 37 by the time I'm presenting right now to you extensions, 37 extensions available on extensions.dev, where you can just click and install and configure and add one more functionality to your Firebase extension. So this is an overview of extension. If you want to take a look, you can also go to extensions.dev. Many of these extensions, in fact, was built by my company, Invertase. In fact, Darren is lead on that project. He created many of them together with the team. And last but not least, we are writing a lot of articles about extensions. If you need to learn more, just check out our website. We have some in-depth articles about some of these extensions, again, written by my team or Darren's team from engineering part. All right, that was it. I think now it's time to get some question and see what you want to learn more. Darren is also here, so please, if you have any question, this is the best time to ask directly from the lead of the project.
A great presentation. So I'm trying to recreate a lot of this stuff on like cloud workers and stuff, but it seems like the marketplace has a lot of solutions that I'm trying to create on the worker side, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize there was like a whole marketplace of extensions and stuff. So thank you for the knowledge and the insights and stuff. And my question was like, is it just Dart and like specific languages, or can the apps or extensions be built in multiple different stacks?
Well, in fact, the language of extensions are hidden to you. You don't really care how they build. The language, I think, is TypeScript or JavaScript in this case. Darren, you can correct me.
Yeah,
but right. You don't really care in this case. Darren, go ahead.
But for as like a developer to get started on building these extensions.
Okay, so I think Darren, you can answer the alpha program stuff.
Yeah, sure. So in November, Google announced the alpha program for building the extensions. So you can sign up to that program now. If you go to extensions.dev and scroll down, you'll see an application where you can then fill in a form to start building alpha extensions. And so for the moment, it's sort of very early access for developing these. Most of them that are built were really partners in early development from Google to give some examples. So if you want to get started on there, by sign up to that, you'll then get some good feedback through that alpha program. If you want to develop.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the presentation, by the way, too. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. All right, more question or concern or whatever.
I actually have a very specific question, and Darren is here. I followed one of his blogs for using the trigger email extension. And like I followed your blog and it was very helpful. Thank you. But when I tried to use the templates, I'm running into an error about something about the attachments where I'm not even trying to use an attachment in this particular scenario. So like I actually came to Codementor to find someone to help, and then I saw this and like all the luck to actually be speaking to you in person. So like that's what I came for, or that's what I came to Codementor altogether for today specifically.
Yeah, so on the Firebase Extensions repository, we handle issues there daily, and we get weekly updates. So if you've got an issue with attachments, we normally monitor Stack Overflow, or directly the repository is the best place to raise an issue there. If I remember correctly, we might have actually had a similar thing pop up this week. And there's a new release going out soon, so maybe in that, but at the very least, if you'd like to create an issue there or on Stack Overflow, we'll be able to pick it up.
Awesome.
And hopefully advise.
I also want to mention that we actually have a Discord server. I just pasted the link, invertase.link/Discord.
Oh, okay.
You'll get an invite. And we have a dedicated channel for extensions on this Discord. And Darius is also there. However, there's no guarantee that we answer immediately.
Right.
But at least you will have a lot of people on that channel, so they will help you, maybe get your answer. Or Darren is also there. I will be there, so we try to answer as soon as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, sounds good. More question? Awesome. So it seems there is no more question here. So I will paste Darren's and my Twitter account to the chat in case, Darren, maybe you can paste yours as well,
Sure.
including your LinkedIn. So if people wants to join later and connect, this is a chance that you can do as well. Well, again, our Discord server is open to everyone, so you can, well, you're welcome to join there. We're happy to. We have different channels. Firebase and Firebase Extensions is only one of them. So, all right, that was it. What we wanted to deliver to you today. I hope it was helpful. And this is just the beginning for sure. So, and we just scratched the surface. A lot to learn for sure. A lot of different, extensions. But let's keep in touch and let us know what you build with the extension. We are happy to learn from you as well later. And with that said, I think one question is coming here is that one language is used for the development of the extensions is JavaScript. Well, TypeScript, but generally JavaScript. Yes. All right. There you go. That's it. And thank you very much for tonight. If there is no more question, then I think we should end this session. Otherwise, if you have question, please. I've heard a noise. Maybe not. Then have a good night or day, wherever you are, and see you next time. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Majid.